This is somehow even better than we thought, as a recent report revealed the top contracts among the NHL. One Canucks player in particular stood out among the list as we get a clear-cut picture on what his contract extension will look like heading into next season. We're going to break down this entire report on this one key player that is shining for the Vancouver Canucks, looking like the bright spot and the best pickup for the Canucks organization we have seen in many years, and so much more later on this episode. But let's just hop straight into it. And before we get into that, I wanted to do a fun little segment. Recently, there was a report that came out on a former Canucks player, David Booth, who tearing up the Australian League down under. David Booth, age 40 years old, has 25 goals and 50 points in just 11 games in the AIHL in Australia. Now listen, I don't want to call him a Canucks legend, but David Booth, who spent just about 3 seasons with the Canucks, not playing in every game over the 3 seasons, has been absolutely dominating. And just seeing the numbers, video game numbers, the Australian Wayne Gretzky, if you want to go that far, I just thought that this was a little piece of information that a lot of Canucks fans might look at, myself included, when I read it and said, hey, did I read that wrong? Read it again, and the exact same outcome. David Booth, if you want to play left wing for the Abbotsford Canucks, if you want to help them three-peat, or two-peat, I should say, and they're going to win again, sign up. It would be awesome to see him come back to Vancouver in some shape or form, even though he's 40 years old. But Canucks fans, let's just get straight into what everyone clicked on this video for today, where a recent report dropped from Dom on Twitter, where he goes in and grades league-wide contract landscape, grading every contract to see which team spent their money the most wisely. Now you can see the Tampa Bay Lightning too is a very good team, making the playoffs for quite some time, winning back-to-back Stanley Cups, were ranked number 1 with an A+. Now, if you go further into this, the Vancouver Canucks ranked 22nd, and listen, I promise Canucks fans, it does get better. Previous rank last season was 5th. So Patrik Allvin and company have spent their money in what Dom's opinion and with his metric. Listen, I love his work. It will be linked down below. It's a great read, and I'm not going to break down every contract, but going through it, there's a lot of good things like, listen, seeing 5 all the way down to 22 does not feel like there is a positive coming from the Canucks side. We know they went out, they spent money, they brought back key players, bringing back Brock Boeser, Thatcher Demko, extending Conor Garland. But with this team right now, there is one player in particular on this list that is looking like legitimately one of the top free agent signings, not only for the Canucks, but around the National Hockey League. Now, going into the list, we know there's a lot of Canucks players that are getting paid a lot of money. You could say some people getting paid too much, over $10 million. But listen, I love PD. I think he's going to have a bounce back. That's for a complete different episode. With the Canucks, and you can pause and take your guess on who I'm going to talk, but I'm sure the thumbnail gave it away. But one player in particular that has really stood out for the Vancouver Canucks just last season, and that is Kiefer Sherwood coming in at number 1. His positive value at 91.2 holds the highest for the Canucks forwards on this team, and overall his production, and we're going to get into what his next contract will end up looking like. Kiefer Sherwood is looking like an absolute steal, and I'm sure Barry Trotz is sitting in Nashville right now on his hand saying, why did I ever let this kid walk? Now, going into Kiefer Sherwood, there's a lot to like. 19 goals, career high, coming in and absolutely being a dominant force. Seen playing under 15 minutes, Kiefer Sherwood is set to have a huge season. We know the contract, $1.5 million. 1 year left on his deal. It was originally a 2-year deal with Patrik Allvin bringing in Kiefer Sherwood. This is looking like an absolute gem for the Vancouver Canucks when they bring this player in. Now, we've seen last year, Rick Tocchet was a huge fan of Kiefer Sherwood, double shifting, triple shifting sometimes. And we know, listen, Kiefer Sherwood's not only out there to score you 19 goals, put up 40 points where he's going to continue to progress, still only 30 years old. And listen, he does still have a bit of time before starting to regress, but the biggest thing with Kiefer Sherwood is he's going to score you goals, and he's also going to hit. We know last year, over 384 hits, setting the record for single season hits in a season by any single player in the National Hockey League's history. Kiefer Sherwood was a bright spot for a very underwhelming Vancouver Canucks team, scoring you goals, throwing you hits, being a glue guy and doing whatever it took to bring this team into a win. But the big thing with Kiefer Sherwood is we know how productive he can be. We've seen it last year, coming in as what was once a former fourth-line player with the Nashville Predators, getting a chance to jump within this lineup. We've seen Kiefer Sherwood finish fourth in goals, tied for third with Conor Garland, while making a fraction of everyone above and below him when it comes to capping. We know last year, Jake DeBrusk, 28 goals, Brock Boeser, 25 goals, 19 for Conor Garland, 16 for Hughes, 15 for Petey. But with Kiefer Sherwood continuing to grow his game, getting into the groove, and going in to his second season with the Canucks, it's going to be interesting to see how Adam Foote plays him. Does he get into a role of playing in the middle six? Is he going to be a bottom six player, or does he jump straight into that top six? Which is very interesting. Now, shout out to Scotia Stats, who did a full breakdown on contracts around the league and using projections. Right now, Kiefer Sherwood on their projection is a 3-year, $3.6 million deal. Now, you can see a lot of comparables on the right side as well, but Kiefer Sherwood is very deserving of a pay raise. We've seen him going in at $1.5 million last season. We'll get him for $1.5 million this season. And with the upcoming season, with the cap rising, we're going to see this extension kick in eventually. It could be signed as I'm recording it. That would kind of suck, as this video would be scrapped. But at the very moment, we're going to see Kiefer Sherwood at some point be extended with the Canucks. And where do you think he plays within this Canucks lineup? It's going to get interesting. Listen, the story of the summer. Who is playing center for the Vancouver Canucks? You have Petey, who a lot of people like to think is a third-line center. Listen, he is a bona fide number 1C and will have a bounce back. Filip Hronek is a bit of a question mark, but could have a very good year. Aatu Räty, who I'm going to touch on very shortly, is another guy, but the big thing is, where do you think Kiefer Sherwood does end up playing? Do you think he gets a position on that third line? Do you think he jumps up within the lineup? Maybe Evander Kane comes down onto the third line. Canucks fans, what is your thoughts on Kiefer Sherwood and his first season with the Canucks? Listen, it was a lot better than I was expecting, and I think there's a bigger ceiling for Sherwood going into next year. But going back into this list, we know the Canucks have dropped a bit in value. We know there's a lot of big contracts signed on this team, but two more names that have been very productive for the Canucks and one of the best salaries in the league is Conor Garland and Nils Höglander. Now, I mean, the big thing is, listen, Conor Garland, we know how productive he's been. He came from Arizona, already started lighting up, and season after season, Garland has got better and better at age 29. The first season with the Vancouver Canucks, 17 goals, 46 points, following up with 20 goals and 47 points, and he progressed even more last year with 19 goals, 50 points, a minus 13, but listen, this is a team sport, and that's not fully on Conor Garland. That was as a team as a whole. Conor Garland, once again, is going to be a guy that's going to most certainly make it into the top six, maybe even get top line minutes if Brock Boeser does slide down into the second line, where we're going to see Conor Garland continue to get better. We know how good he is. He gets a small stick, right? He gets in front of the net, pesky player, and I do expect another big year from Conor Garland, and he's going to end up setting career highs. Maybe he hits that 20-goal plateau with the Canucks for the second time. Maybe he goes as far as the 30-goal plateau, depending on how Petey and Heedle's playmaking does continue to develop. But there is one more name, Canucks fans, listen. There is a guy that is on a very small contract, and it is not included in the top three forwards. Listen, on defense, Quinn Hughes, number 1, the best value. He's playing at about a $15 million value. I think it was 13 points something. But there is one player that I think is going to be among the top of the list for the Canucks going into next year's breakdown when Dom does release the article again, and that is Aatu Räty. Listen, I'm a huge fan of Räty. We've seen how well he played with the Canucks, above 50% on the faceoffs, a productive season, 33 games, 11 total points. I do expect a huge jump from Aatu Räty when he gets into this Canucks lineup as a third-line center. But what is your thoughts, fans? This is going to be a hectic offseason. It already has been. We've already seen some moves. We've seen former players come back to this team. What is your thoughts on this Canucks team? And listen, Canucks fans, I'm banning the word Elias Pettersson from this right now. What is your thoughts on the team? Who do you think is going to be the biggest shiner? Who do you think is going to have the biggest bounce back of the season? Listen, that's obviously Petey, so go ahead and leave Petey's name. Leave some positive information on him as well. But who do you think is going to be the dark horse of the season? What is your thoughts on everything around this Canucks team? Go down and leave a comment down below. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back with another episode, so keep your eye out for that. If there's something you want us to cover, put that down there as well, because we love just doing videos for you guys, giving you information, and just talking the Canucks. It's our favorite team for a reason. As you can see, the hat back there somewhere. But that's it for this episode, Canucks fans. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back with another episode. Keep your eye out for that, but I've been your host, Mark. Bye, and take care.